It's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Tejas Patel, a practicing dentist in Austin, Texas. His office is located in downtown Austin. He has a thriving cosmetic dental practice with a heavy focus on smile makeovers and porcelain veneers. He has a large social media presence, especially on Instagram and TikTok. Dr. Patel enjoys comic books, movies, and is learning to DJ. He lives in Austin with his wife, 2 daughters, and their dog, and even the dog is a girl. I'm so sorry. I grew up with 5 sisters. If you have one more woman in that house, you're gonna look like me when you're 58. Dr. Tejas Patel, the premier cosmetic dentist in Austin, Texas, will give you the perfect smile. And all of his staff are trained to use the very latest methods and technology to provide faster, safer results on a continually improving basis. He chose dentistry as a profession in order to help others. He graduated from the University of Texas Dental School in 2002 and has been practicing dentistry for 17 years. He found that cosmetic and implant dentistry allowed him to blend his love of science and the arts while helping improve people's confidence by creating and maintaining a beautiful smile. He's learned from the best and has fantastic cosmetic dentist knowledge and skills. The smiles that he helps to create are natural and look amazing. He has completed over 1,000 porcelain restorations and completed hundreds of hours in continuing education. He attended the Las Vegas Institute for Advanced Dental Studies with infamous Bill Dickerson, who's been on the show. Love that guy. I'm so damn old when I took that course. It was in his dental office. I think I was the first graduating class when it was Hornbrook and Leventhal, Larry Rosenthal. The Las Vegas Institute is world-renowned for being one of the best places for dentists to learn about cosmetic dentistry. He is passionate about learning and always improving. My God, I could read that. Well, I'll just keep reading. You have your fellowship in the International Congress of Oral Implantology. This certification is given to individuals who have shown exceptional understanding of implant dentistry. He completed over 100 dental implant surgeries and is extremely knowledgeable of that. Oh my gosh, it just goes on and on and on and on. Oh, you're fluent in Spanish. Now, were you born in Austin?
No, I was actually born in New York. And then when my parents were 2, we moved to Houston. And and then so 16 years ago, we moved to Austin. And now we call Austin our home. So.
Well, that's so cool that you want to learn a second language. It actually was the only D I ever got in my life. It was in high school Spanish. And then my mom went and talked to my piano teacher, which was the worst. Wednesdays were hell because after school you had to go to piano. And she said that Howie couldn't carry a tune in a lunch pail. He's tone deaf. And Mom says, well, he got a D in Spanish and you say he's tone deaf? Howie, I think you should quit Spanish and piano. And then it was the happiest day of my life.
And Wednesdays become better. Yeah?
Oh, my God. That was just, when I wake up and I'd find out it was Wednesday, I just want to puke. But congratulations on, I do think that some people have a knack for Spanish because, I know people that you're lecturing with and you'll go to like Brazil. And after like 4 days there, they're kind of getting by in Portuguese. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know one word. And I was drinking the same thing you were. So your name is spelled Tejas. And the state of Texas, it could be spelled like that.
It is.
The official spelling is Tejas or Texas by the Spanish, the Caddo Indians. It was a word for friendship. So does your name mean friendship?
Yeah. The cool thing about my name is it means so many different things. It means, when people see my name spelled, their natural inclination is to say Tejas. Like I've heard that so many times, and living in Texas, I would say every couple of weeks, someone will be like, hey, did you know your name means Texas? It's Tejas, right? And I'm like, nah, it's actually Tejas. But yeah, so it means friendship in an American Indian language. It means obviously Texas in Spanish. And then in a Sanskrit language, which my parents, why they chose the name is because it means light. And they like that meaning.
Light. Wow, yeah. That is a cool name. Very, very cool. So it was in Sanskrit?
Sanskrit, yeah.
That was the first language, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the originals, yeah.
Well, not one of the originals, wasn't
The
it?
original,
The
yes.
original, and so I remember, everybody like every patient comes in thinks their job's the most stressful. I've heard firemen and policemen tell me, well, we have the most suicides, and policemen, firemen, the dentists say it. It's like, okay, well, a 5-second Google search, you'd see that it was the U.S. Army has 26 a day. No one beats that. But a lot of religions claim, obviously, they're the original religion, but the evidence by anthropologists, it's Hinduism, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, yes.
The neatest flight back, I lectured in Washington, D.C.,
Mhm.
and there was a anthropology convention next to me. And
Cool.
then on the way home, and if you've ever been to one, I've been to several because it's all teeth. Teeth is the one bone that makes it. But oh my God, whenever you go to one, it's half rabbis. I don't know. They're just into it. And on the way back to Phoenix, I had a rabbi on each side of me, and I just didn't say a word. I just sat back and listened to this incredible debate about which was first, Judaism or whatever, but the evidence, both of those guys agreed that Sanskrit and Hinduism was the first. My gosh, I don't know where to start with you, but let's get social media out of the way because you could go 40 days and 40 nights on that. The thing that the reason I called you on the show is because TikTok's all in the news, and the narrative that Americans that drink the purple Kool-Aid is that they're evil because they're owned by China. And I used to have weird thoughts when I grew up in Kansas and never went around the world. But when you've gone to 50 countries, you meet your homies like you, other dentists, and you go to dinner, and they school you on their country, the relationship of their country. I mean, when I started lecturing international all through the 90s, I mean, every country I went to, I knew it was going to be a night of them telling me every mean thing America ever did to their country, their neighbor. And so I really got schooled, and I know more than most younger dentists that, America's been at war every year since 1776.
Wow.
I used to say it was set for 20 years,
Yeah.
but Jimmy Carter just wrote a piece. It's only been 16 years. Only 16 years. In fact, Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize, and during his 8-year administration, he was bombing 7 different countries daily. America was killing someone in 7 different countries 7 days a week for 8 years, and that'll get you the Nobel Prize if you're an American. And oh my God, it's crazy. But so when they start talking about TikTok, I've been to China. I've been their keynote speaker. I love that country. I love those people. They're just so happy. And in fact, I got to tell you the funniest China story is like if I asked you right now, who is name the president of China?
Man, it's slipping my mind actually.
See, yeah. And if I come around here in Phoenix, say name 5 of the most famous presidents in the last 5,000 years of China, they couldn't name one. Well, the dentist could name one U.S. dentist, I mean, American president.
Yeah.
And I was saying, well, when someone says United States of America, like, what do you think of? And they get a big smile and they go, Coca-Cola, Hershey's chocolate, Kentucky Fried Chicken. They would just name stuff you eat. And so whenever I hear about all this politics stuff, it's like, I've been there. And if I had to bet my money on who was more intentionally focused on creating the shadiest social media platform, would it be Zuckerberg and Facebook? Would it be the Google brothers? Would it be Jeff Bezos? Yeah. Would it be some third world country in China where they're, if you take their GDP, it looks good, but when you divide it by 1,300,000,000 people, they're a poor country. I don't think TikTok has enough money and resources to be evil. But what do you think? What do you make of all this stuff in the news about TikTok? And first, the president said, you had to sell it, so Microsoft's looking at it. Then Larry Ellison wasn't going to let Bill Gates one-up him, so now he's looking at it. But what's your whole thought on all that?
It's interesting because we're actually, I mean, TikTok for us as a dental office is fairly new. We started using TikTok because we were already on Instagram. Started to use TikTok like maybe in January of 2019. And
TikTok was January of 2019.
Well, sorry, we started using it January 2020. So just this year, we just started using it, or December of 2019. So end of last year, beginning of this year, we just started to use it. So for us, we just started to use it as using it for short length video. The beautiful thing about TikTok is you can shoot these 15-second videos, these 60-second videos, and put cool music to it. You can do voiceovers, and just the way to use it as a video app was very interesting. And so that's why we started to get into it. And so I guess if you fast forward to now, like what I think about, as a video platform, as an app, it's like the number one selling app or number one most popular app in the world. And for a video app to be able to shoot these videos and to add all these like cool effects, I think as an app, it's like it's amazing. Like I don't really know if there's another video editing type app out there that can compete with it. Now, I guess everything was fine with TikTok up until a couple of months ago or a month ago when all of it started to come out in the news. And I guess the issue is TikTok being owned by, I guess, the company's ByteDance, which is a company based out of China, but they also have U.S. operations. So I don't know. I mean, it's there. It's always that Big Brother is watching you kind of effect of, on even on Facebook and stuff like that. Like you would assume that they have all your information already. They know where you're at and all those things. And so I guess with something like TikTok, you would assume that that kind of happens too. But then when you put a whole different government behind it, then that definitely changes your thoughts on it. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I've been kind of, once the news started to come out of it questioning if it's going to be shut down, if it's going to be sold. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. Like, I mean, I don't know if like as a government, can we really dictate a sale of a company? So
Well, I mean, all governments.
yeah,
I don't want people to think I'm anti-American because I am. It's the fact that in 5,000 years of recorded history, the governments they're always a mob. They take your money, they take your taxes, they tell you what you do, they tell you your religion, your sex. They're just a mob. So they've been breaking the laws for 5,000 years. And that's why I'm always amazed. That's what scares me the most about millennials, because they always like bright-eyed bush. They're like, well, the government could fix everything. It's like, dude, the government causes all the problems, and you look at the government like it's your mom who's going to nurse you back to life. I mean, and the bottom line is, all data shows that people kill about 1% of their own in families. The government kills 6%. So there's 5 extra dead people if your mom is now the government. You want to keep your mom. Mine's 82. She's doing good. So yeah, I think the United States is not the innocent guy. They never have been. They never will. But who knows? We have an election in like 80 days, so I'm sure the post office and TikTok could tie that up in court and delay, and they'll just try to do anything because they want to know who they're going to be dealing with in November, right?
Yeah, totally. Who knows? We'll
but you're calling it a video app.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Explain that. What are other video apps? Would you call Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat video apps?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that they have video components to their, so like Facebook is, it was based on like keeping up with your friends, chatting with your friends, then you added photos, then you added videos, and it's a great way to like communicate and keep up with people, right? Instagram was based on photos originally. It was based on like showing off pretty photos. Then they added like a video component, like the stories, like Snapchat kind of. Snapchat's with video as well. But I think for doing like videos and editing videos and to be able to do it on your phone, I definitely think like as a social media platform that utilizes video, like TikTok is like up there for sure.
Yeah, the analyst I'm reading says Facebook isn't dead, but it's slowly dying. Instagram is your king now, with most daily active users 20 to 40. Yeah. LinkedIn just knows what business. Twitter, I can't believe Twitter. I mean, I ask you more questions on who you are to join Dental Town than Twitter, and that's why you can't advertise anybody because they don't even know who's. Snapchat is still quietly dominating the American teen market,
Yeah.
And TikTok is driven by Gen Zers in India and China, and now moving. It's if social influence are your thing, you'll save time and money for Instagram, but now it's moving into the United States.
Yeah. I mean, if you open TikTok, like when I opened TikTok today, the first ad I saw was from Apple. Apple promoting their iPhone 11. And so, I mean, people are investing in like TikTok, like big companies. Again, I don't know. I literally don't know what's going to happen in a month, or a month or two or whatever it may be. But I mean, there's definitely a lot of, like when you went to Facebook originally, what before like the ads started to come and dominate things, like you went to Facebook because you believe you can organically grow like your presence. uh, Same thing with Instagram. You went to Instagram, you could organically grow, but then we started introducing ads. Same with SEO, like Google. You try to build your SEO website, but then some platforms become pay to play, right? So Facebook's becoming pay to play, Instagram's becoming a little bit. So why we originally went to TikTok is like originally it was like, well, you can organically build like your presence there, and it wasn't pay to play yet.
You could build it organically where?
Like on TikTok.
Okay, TikTok.
Yeah, you don't.
And can you build it organically on Facebook or Instagram?
I mean, I still feel like you can, but I think it gets just like Google, right? Like to rank high on Google, it's like really hard. Like you need to be probably paying an SEO company to do that for you. Maybe you need to be paying for ads, and maybe that will get you there. And I think eventually, like Facebook and Instagram may get that way. Like when your model is, earning revenue through advertising, like eventually it changes. Eventually it will change.
Yeah, I remember the big deal with Facebook when, early. I joined it. I started Dental Town in St. Patrick's Day '99. They started in 2004. I didn't really know about it or anything until about 2009. And so you started organically. You say, well, I'll post here and build it up. And I built it up to 300,000 followers.
Oh.
And Mark Cuban built his up to 1 million. And we all just thought that you make a post, all your 300,000 would read it.
Yeah.
But then Zuckerberg changed his mind and said, now, not even 6% will see your post unless you boost the post with money. So that's the difference between pay to play versus organic. But yeah, so I mean, I quit Facebook February and haven't been back one time. But right now, where do you think the lines are solid of pay to play versus organic?
I mean, Google definitely. I feel like if for you to rank high on Google, I definitely feel like there's some pay to play there. Either you're paying, an SEO company to help you. I don't think it's based on your good quality content. Like
Right.
you can produce the most beautiful story about something, and I think on Google for it to be seen, you're gonna have to pay somehow to get that seen.
Now, when you say Google, it's owned by Alphabet. Are you talking about YouTube then? Or what are you talking about when you
More
talking about
like
search or
yeah,
what are you talking about?
just more for like Google search. YouTube, I think there's YouTube maybe is not as much, but definitely Google search I think is definitely gone to that pay to play game.
I can tell you just factually how it's purely
Yeah,
pay to play. Okay,
yeah,
this is my podcast. I put on YouTube. It's Dentistry
yeah,
Uncensored.
yeah,
Every time I go to YouTube and I pull up my search, I have to manually type in Dentistry Uncensored because
yeah,
I've never given them a penny.
yeah,
And they make me have to work or what. I'm just like thinking, okay, how could you know everything about me and not know that I'm gonna go
yeah,
see the
yeah,
YouTube today?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, so they've never served that up to me once. So we both agree that Alphabet, which owns YouTube and Google, are simply pay to play, and any others that are simply pay to play.
I mean, I think Facebook is going that way. I don't think it's 100% there, but what I kind of, I still feel like obviously Facebook owns Instagram, right? So, um, I think Facebook is going that direction, which is kind of a bummer. But like you, I'm actually not on Facebook pretty much at all. I am very active on Instagram, and TikTok, obviously. So I feel like Facebook is going that way. I don't feel like Instagram. I think everything's going that way. It's just the degree of how far they've moved that in that direction. So I feel like Facebook is swaying that way. Um, Instagram is starting to sway that way, and then TikTok maybe a little bit for sure. So, but I think that the thing about like TikTok right now is, TikTok is getting bigger, but like you can see Instagram just released something called Reels, which is their version of TikTok. So this using something to make videos that are short videos that can be cool or fun or whatever, I think that's a huge trend that's happening like right now.
And what's the trend? Just making a short movie, a video, or what?
Just making short videos. Like, I mean, for us, in dentistry, because
here's why I loved TikTok. I mean, so you upload your own video on YouTube, and then you want to. I do. I've put every show on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Dentaltown or Dentaltown Magazine, and I wanted to download that video back. I needed it back. Oh my God! It'd been easier to rob Fort Knox. If I see a video and I want to send it to my mom, well, she's not gonna subscribe to social media to see a video. And Facebook and Instagram, they won't let me save any. But TikTok, you can save the video to your iPhone, and then text it to your mom.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's where I'm very suspect about Zuckerberg, because Dentaltown, I've had the same 5 programmers since 1998, and we've been about a year behind for 20 some years. All the dentists tell me what they want, and then we try to deliver it to them. Yeah. Whereas Facebook is the opposite. It's like, oh, well, can I save this video? No. So then I saw it first with an oral cancer walk. It's like, oh, oral cancer, the link's not active. Yeah. It's like, dude, it's a non-profit oral cancer. Can't you just? And they're like, no, we don't want you to leave Instagram. We don't care how many people show up or don't show up for some stupid cancer thing. It's all about the money. Money's the answer. What's the question? And that's what this is what the people. You go back 5,000 years when the inequality gets this high. I mean, when you apples were $2 trillion, $2 trillion market cap. And you got 60% of the people that live month to month. So it concerns me it doesn't concern me. It doesn't concern my 4 boys, but it concerns Grandpa thinking about what kind of world his grandchildren are going to live into. And you better take care of Texas, because 4 of my 6 grandkids are in Beeville, Texas.
That's not
how far is that from you?
It's Beeville's like halfway between Austin and Houston, so like maybe an hour to hour and a half, maybe. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. Every dental office I've walked into, just instant drinking buddy, hunting buddy, fishing buddy. I mean, you can just walk into your dental office that night, he's cooking you dinner and he's taking you hunting the next day. And I say, is this in season? He goes, dude, you're in Texas. There's no seasons. So we agree, Alphabet, which owns YouTube, Google search, and Facebook and Instagram are pay to play, but organic or any others pay to play?
I mean, those were the biggest. Again, I'm not very familiar with Snapchat. I'm not very familiar with Twitter, but I mean, those are the ones I'm more familiar with for sure.
Okay. And which ones do you think are organic? Would you put TikTok at organic?
I mean, TikTok would be, and again, I still feel like Instagram is a good portion of it. So I feel like Instagram. I mean, again, then that's why we kind of focus on those two, Instagram and TikTok, because we feel like we don't pay for ads on either of those, and we're seeing good growth on both of those, and we're seeing good growth because we're consistently posting content to each of those platforms.
Well, and you know why you're not sure about Instagram?
Why?
Because you know what a dictator wants to do, but he just can't get away with it. Yeah. So you know what they want to do. They just want to only serve you up ads. But Snapchat, the competition from Snapchat kept Instagram on their toes. And
Oh,
then when Snapchat kind of started fading away, now they got a new TikTok. So once again, I mean, did you read that paper the Federal Reserve published yesterday on monopolies?
no, I didn't.
Oh my God, they got 3,200 PhDs. It was the most brilliant read. I mean, I started reading that thing, and it took me a couple of hours to read it because they're just so profoundly data driven, and they keep showing, the history of not just the United States but the world, that when monopolies get too abusive, it not only stifles the innovation, all that, but it moves all the money up to the top, and then there's the inequality thing, and that never ends well. And that's what they were saying. Right now, we have a huge problem. I like that Professor Scott Galloway. He's been saying the same thing for a couple of years now. But so it's competition that made Instagram behave. Competition from Snapchat that made Instagram try to be a good boy, and now it's TikTok. I'm surprised Zuckerberg didn't just buy TikTok.
I'm sure he tried. The thing about Instagram, if you look at Instagram, like the top of your Instagram feed is stories, which is definitely like a ripoff of Snapchat. And then IGTV is something they launched, I don't know, like maybe a year and a half ago. And that was their competition towards YouTube, like long versions of video. And now this Instagram Reels is now their competition towards TikTok. So it's almost like this Instagram has now become a part Snapchat, part TikTok, and part YouTube, all in one,
Yeah. And then the other thing is the brand with the kids, because I can assure you don't know what the kids are thinking. But I remember when Facebook, when grandma started getting on Facebook, I saw it with my own kids. I mean, my 4 boys, they're like 30, 28, 26, 24. But you go back a decade or two when their grandmas started getting on Facebook, that just killed the brand. I mean, you can't be cool. It's like, I think legalized marijuana will have the same effect. It's not cool anymore. It's legal. You can buy it at the store. And when you go in there and buy it at the store, I'm sure it's going to be a bunch of older people. It's not going to be a bunch of hip millennials, and so that it'll take the coolness out of it. So what are you actually doing on TikTok, and what kind of do you know how much you spend per head that comes in your office, or would it be time? If it's organic, we'd have to know time. If it's pay to play, money. But is it getting you? You're doing a lot of smile makeovers, and you're placing veneers. Is that your 2 main things, or is it mostly cosmetic? Some veneers, or is it?
It's mostly cosmetic.
It's mostly cosmetic.
Mostly cosmetic, mostly veneers. We do implants as well, but mostly cosmetic, mostly veneers, basically.
And what about clear liners and ortho?
We kind of stepped away from that because we're just busy with veneers, which is great, and that's what we really enjoy. So
and then you specialize in it, so then you just get really good and fast if you're only doing one thing. So how much time and money do you spend a month, and what is the average TikTok patient? I mean, I would think they're 12, and can't give veneers unless your mom drives them. But
so I will say this: like we first started to get on TikTok because when we did, so like when people ask like, "What'd you do during quarantine?" What I did during quarantine is how to learn TikTok, because I had all that downtime, and so I started to make content on TikTok because I had enough time to figure out like how to shoot a video, how to add voiceover, how to do these like little things that look complicated but aren't really complicated. And so once we started doing TikToks, we saw like a really big growth in our Instagram. And I will say, like, out of our cosmetic dentistry, like one of our main drivers is actually Instagram. And so we almost use TikTok to feed our Instagram, if that makes sense. TikTok is a younger market, but it's almost like, I don't know, we just saw this kind of like organic growth and this is like in March, April of this year, we started to see like really good organic growth in our Instagram, which is a big driver for new patients and cosmetic patients, because we were adding TikToks onto our Instagram. And so it was kind of like,
but how does that? I mean, do you think it's something sinister, like
no,
companies are scraping each other's users or cross fertilizing, or is TikTokers just more likely to be Instagrammers?
Well, I think it was a couple of things. I think, when you, on your TikTok profile page, you have a link to your Instagram. So if someone follows us on TikTok, it might be natural for them to go click on our Instagram and maybe follow us there. So we saw an increase in
So if I follow you so TikTok, you can click to go follow them on their Facebook,
on
on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, does Instagram let you do that with TikTok? Oh, hell no.
Oh, yeah.
Hell no. I mean, it's just, how many times does someone have to prove to you that they're a lying, cheating crook? I mean, at my age, when I was your age, it was baseball, 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah.
Dude, when you're coming up on 60, it's 1 strike. There's 8 billion people. I don't need a second strike. I don't need, but yeah, I mean, mine for Instagram was when I put that oral cancer walk and the link doesn't work. I'm like, it's oral cancer. Can't you just let someone leave Instagram for oral cancer? And the answer is, well, hell no. What does that have to do with money? I don't know if I'm jaded or whatever, but they just don't give any data to make you think they're going to do anything for the right reason of truth, liberty, and justice in the American way. It's just going to be money's the answer. What's the question? So, so when you start doing TikTok, TikTok has a place where you can click it and go to the Instagram.
Yeah.
So they're trying to play nice.
Yeah, and so I would say, like, like when people say, like, well, it's all like young people on TikTok, which it is. Like, I would say predominantly it's, I don't know, like maybe a 15 to 25-year-old age group. But what we found is, again, when I say TikTok, I'm like pretty much only thinking about TikTok, using it as an app so I can make video, like either a 15-second video or a 60-second video.
And you're doing this on your iPhone, or do you have, or does this need a Mac laptop?
No, seriously, on your iPhone, you could produce, like, I have I have multiple videos of me talking about veneers with a green screen effect behind me. That's just through my phone. That I don't have a green screen. I don't actually have a green screen behind me. It's just an effect on the app of TikTok.
Zoom does that too. Zoom calls.
Yeah, Zoom does that.
Yeah.
I can have a photo, I can have a video, like, all those things, but just with the simplicity of your phone and not having to like purchase anything. That's pretty cool. So
when you're making a video, is it obviously if it's for dentists, it'd be close-ups, blood, guts, preps, all that stuff, but that stuff runs off the consumer. So you're not doing B2B videos, business to business. You're doing B2C to attract consumers. So marketing is storytelling. So what is your 60-second story?
So with our social media, it's a goal of, one, like showing people what's possible. And that usually comes in the form of like before and afters or something like that. The next thing we want to show is that we're really good at what we do. And so showing that we're the expert in like veneers or cosmetic dentistry. And then the third thing we use social media for is, we want to make sure, like, I want to come off relatable, and I think by doing a lot of those TikToks or funny voiceovers, or like, maybe if there's a silly factor to it, it definitely breaks down barriers for patients and makes me like more approachable and relatable. And that's what I've kind of seen through TikTok. So I use TikTok videos for those things. We show before and afters. We do show procedure stuff, and some people actually find that super interesting because, people are so visual, right? People are so visual nowadays where they kind of want to see some of the procedure stuff, and they comment on that stuff. And so I feel like, from being relatable to showing that we're the expert, showing what's possible, I think Instagram and especially video on TikTok has really helped that for sure.
So what do you think makes some expertise? Like I noticed you have your fellowship in the International Congress of Oral Implantology, but you don't put after your name. You don't put FICIOI. And real estate people do it all the time. They'll have a business card and there'll be half the alphabet after, and it's like, so is that why you don't do the FICOI after your name?
I don't really think the consumer knows about it. And
right.
And so if the consumer is not gonna, if it's not gonna make an impact on the consumer, then I don't really care to. The DDS for sure, 100%. But beyond that, like I'm fine without those other things because I don't really know if they understand that. But I don't really know if it's much of a draw, to be honest. I
So you were nominated as a Texas super dentist for the past 3 years. You're is that the does that show that does that convince the consumer that
I
you're an expert?
yeah
Having
I
that,
yeah I kind of have mixed thoughts on that stuff, you know, because I definitely think it's good. I definitely think it's something cool to talk about. Um, I definitely think consumers do notice that, but for me, I'd rather put something out there where they can actually see me like in action, or see me in person, or see my personality and get a feel for me as a person, or like some cases we've done, because I feel like that can carry over a lot more than these kind of like accolades, you know, if that
right?
makes because we're in such a like a personal type business, relationship type business, that if you can if you can provide people with content that shows that, then I think that can be like impactful, you know.
And I just want to teach the kids something. A quarter of our viewers are still in dental school, and
Oh, cool.
I love the questions in the YouTube comments. I can't tell you how much that helps me with guests, feedback, whatever. But see, I chose my dental office to be named Today's Dental
Hmm.
because I didn't want to market the hell out of Howard Farran. Then everybody come
Yeah.
in and wanted me to do it. I mean, it's like I didn't want to push the only lawnmower in Phoenix for the rest of my life. Plus, I wanted to track you to Today's Dental. Then someday I knew an associate would do it, and
Mhm.
someday I knew I would be dead. And
Yeah.
but you market Austin Cosmetic Dentist by Tejas Patel.
Mhm.
And so you're actively marketing your name. So the plus for that is everyone's going to want you to do their dentistry. The negative for that is you're the poor bastard that's going to have to do all their dentistry.
Yeah.
So is that with intention, or did you know that was a trade off, or
I
how does
no,
that
it's definitely like there's intention behind that,
there
and
is intention?
there is, and I feel like, you know, there's a I guess a progression within our practice of going from you know, really broad and general, trying to do as much, you know, being everything for everyone, and be it insurance or procedures and all that thing, all those things, and I've always loved cosmetics, and you know, I just made that pivot point of where I said, you know, I really want to focus on this. This is going to be my niche. This is the message I'm going to send out, and it's going to be clear. Like I want to be known as like the cosmetic person in Austin, Texas. And so,
And where does that come from? I mean, I've noticed one thing, and this so I want the kids to remember too.
yeah,
32 years of looking at really great cosmetic people. I don't care if it's
yeah,
veneers, breasts, tummy tucks, they're all hot. There's no short, fat, bald guys in Beverly Hills doing all the breast jobs. It really helps because you're selling beauty.
yeah,
I mean, would you go to a yoga
uh,
class
yeah, oh yeah,
by a 400-pound man drinking a beer up there?
yeah,
The yoga tea. I think the most fun thing. I love hot Bikram yoga. In fact, if I can't be in the mood to work out, I just take a lawn chair and sit in the back of the room and have a beer, looking at all the teachers. I mean, but that teacher's got that whole class there because she's selling that dream to all those people that you come here 3 days a week, you're going to look like me, and that's true if you have CRISPR genetics. Re-edit all your genes, but when you say social media,
mhm.
um, how many TikTok patients are you getting with all the effort you do in a month? I mean, does it get you one case, 5 cases, 10 cases? And
Um,
how many hours and dollars do you think you're
yeah.
spending?
I mean, I don't think there's no dollars because it's just TikTok. So we're just doing everything organically. And I mean, it's hard to I don't know, like you know, we all ask that question when a patient comes in, like nowadays. How'd you hear about us? Right? Like standard. Who referred you? But what I'm seeing now is people say, well, I found you on Google, I saw your reviews, then I started to research you, then I stalked you on Instagram, and then I saw your TikTok. So it's actually like for me, it's really hard to discern how many cases. Like we get a lot of cases from Instagram, and I think our TikTok like kind of adds to our Instagram. But I mean, for Instagram, like we get like I don't know, like 5, 6 cases a month from Instagram.
5 or 6 cases a month.
And
Wow.
the time, I mean, definitely there's a lot of time spent there. I do have a social media manager. I will say that, sorry. So I do have a social media manager. So that's an expense, obviously there. And she helps like put together content.
Now, is she a full-time in-house employee that works for your location, or is this an outsourced?
Like part-time, but she does come in the office. I do feel like if people are going to do social media and hire someone, it should be someone local, because that way they can come in and film and edit.
Well, how old are your 2 daughters?
One's 16 and one's 13, and one's kind of.
Oh my God! You have them in house already. You have them at work and home.
Yeah, actually, one helped this whole summer, like creating, just working with photos and putting them in slides and putting like before and afters together and doing different transitions so they look different, you know. But yeah, they're at a perfect age group to help for sure.
Now, do you let them on social media at 13? Well, 16, you're not gonna have any say in it, pretty much.
You know what's interesting is like I honestly probably spend more time on social media than they do, which is a good thing, which is a very, very good thing. So they're on social media, they're just not like, they're more kind of like consumers versus like actively like posting, look at me kind of thing, you know? They're more just like they'll watch TikToks because they're funny, but they're not really going to go make a whole bunch of TikToks, you know?
So what he just said, if you're in school, is when you look at all social media studies and research, and whenever we read this thing, our team looks at it, and it's always the same for Dental Town. 1% of all the people on any platform generate 90% of the content, and 10% engage, like, oh, cool, yeah. 90% complete lurk. So you look at that 1%, like, well, why is that person doing it? I don't know. Let's think about money, gold, and Bitcoin. They're like, why would an influencer be influencing you? There's money in the game. So the hyperactive social media people, I have a whole marketing team. I have 4 people, and they're on all those platforms driving it to Dental Town. Yeah. So they're not on that stuff because they're just trying to, you know, it's money's the answer. Yeah. So you get 5 to 6 cases a month. Mm-hmm. And when you say a case, is that a veneer case?
Yeah, veneer case. Yeah.
And what is your average veneer case? 6, 8, 10 teeth? How much money?
I'd say average veneer case is probably 8 teeth. I'd say anywhere from 10 to 12,000. So I mean, it's good production, definitely.
Average veneer case is 8 teeth for how much money?
10 to 12,000.
Wow, that's that is amazing. And do you consider a lot of your skills? Do you attribute them to LVI and Bill Dickerson?
You know, the aesthetic part, not so much the neuromuscular part. Like that's one part I didn't really delve deep into at all. But like the first, you know, aesthetics course, like I still use I still get wax ups for the majority of my cosmetic cases. We still do like a lot of the temporization techniques that I learned there, bonding protocol for sure. You know, some of the golden proportion stuff I'm not a huge proponent of, but some of the baseline cosmetic stuff I definitely still refer back to for sure.
Well, if the occlusion was so serious, mm-hmm. then all the dentists would do it and know it and use it. I mean, they just, you know, so there's something. It's kind of like the soft tissue reposition. What is it called? The periodontist when they're lowering the
pinhole or
when they're lowering the gum for the crown margin.
Crown lengthening.
Crown lengthening. I mean, every periodontist I ever have met says, yeah, I get about 5 guys that send me those. Yeah. So, well, how many guys send you anything? About 25. Okay, so there you go. I mean, it's just, there's something about it, but, crazy. So you're really not into the neuromuscular occlusion, blah, blah, blah. And then as far as the cosmetics, that's a joke too, because when I look at women doing cosmetics, I mean, they put on red lipstick. I mean, I know they don't have increased blood flow in their vermilion border, and I'm seeing red blood cells fly by. You know, it's fake. So to me, I don't see natural, because if you really wanted to please me natural, and what I do is I just have much better results direct composite. When someone wants 8, 10 veneers, I say, well, if it was me, give me 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I always would schedule that before lunch or at the end of the day because I don't want to feel pressured. Sure. And my direct composite cases, I think they're the most beautiful, but a lot of people wanted them. No, I don't want that. And they wanted 8 square chiclets that look like to match their boobs and lipstick and wig. And so when you say it looks natural, what does that even mean? Natural like what?
Oh, for me, it just matters what the patient wants,
Right.
I mean, and like I was telling someone earlier today, we have, I'd say we have like a 50-50 split, to be honest. Like we have 50% who want it to look natural, like they, maybe it's just that like they had their teeth whitened or straightened. And another 50% that want to go big and bold and like bigger shapes, bigger size teeth, broader buccal corridors, things like that. But I was going to say on the composite side, there's actually a pretty big push right now for, I think composite veneers are going to make a comeback, honestly. Direct composite veneers, I think they're going to make a comeback for sure.
I remember when I got out that the big cosmetic guru in '87 was Ron Goldstein and Garber.
Yeah.
And out of Atlanta, and they would come in, and I was a young baby out of school, and I was sitting in the front row with a bunch of kids, and someone would have this minor crowding, and you're like, oh, what's he gonna do with that? Is he gonna do some more though? And then boom, next thing you know, they're all prepped down to the uppers, they're just all look like pencils in a pencil sharpener, but the lowers look like grains of rice. And I'm like, holy shit! It went from not quite right to 8 kernels of rice down there. And then you talk to the endodontist, well, how many of those will end up needing a root canal? And they say, 5 years, a lot of them, blah, 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 blah. So it's not very conservative. And so I think what I'm sensing that what you might be on is like dentists hate the word natural and holistic. And they think holistic people are wackos and all this. But then on Dental Town, when they get high blood pressure, they're not going to go take a pharmaceutical pill. They're not going to go do what the whole healthcare. They start reading the K factor and changing their diet and exercise. So then I'm like, dude, you sound pretty holistic. Did you switch from a conservative to like some hippie from Berkeley? So I think the whole trend now is pharmacy is bad. That's where all this anti-vaxxer is coming from, because on the vaccine, there's where there's smoke, there's fire. They have this titer level. I lived through this with hepatitis B. You got your hepatitis B vaccine, but then the pharmaceuticals got to figure out a way to give you a booster shot. And they're like, well, we just found a way to measure your antibodies, and if it's below this much, you need to buy another shot. It's like, okay, well, show me the person who had that much that got the disease. Oh, well, we don't have that. There's just this guy who recommends it. So they give way too many vaccines because they're selling vaccines. If vaccines were nonprofit, you wouldn't be getting that many vaccines. So when the crazy cavemen are beating their chest and they're throwing stuff, there's a reason why they saw something and they're scared. They either see something and it makes them happy and they want to eat it or whatever, or they see something that scares them and they turn violent or whatever. So all this anti-vaccine stuff, I mean, right now I'm seeing polls that 25% of Americans wouldn't even take a vaccine for coronavirus. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic and a quarter of Americans wouldn't take it. And that's because these people have lost their trust in the institutions. You know what I mean? So I think natural means just quit asking for money to give me pills and surgeries and stents and all this stuff like that. Show me the research that this is value added for them. So you're seeing, is it younger people that want direct composites or?
I mean, I feel like, obviously the price point for direct composites is going to be lower than, oftentimes it'll be lower than porcelain, majority of the time. But then I'm seeing a big push for,
but that's something that you intentionally decided to do. I mean, that wasn't, that's not one of the laws of nature, like gravity or the speed of light. So when you say average veneer case is 8 teeth for 10 to 12,000, why is there a $2,000 variance? Is that because in case it's 6 or 8 or 10, or is it what is your veneer case per tooth? What is the veneer cost per tooth?
$1,500.
So one veneer is $1,500. Mm-hmm. And what is one direct facial composite?
1,000.
So why did you intentionally do that? Because you don't have a lab bill? Is your lab bill $500?
For the I mean, by the time we do materials and all that stuff, it'd probably be, yeah, like 400, 500. But, direct composites is something I'm just now getting into. Because I have really good success with porcelain. So, and I also know it's going to be a lot of chair time. So I kind of almost wanted to price it, to be honest, where, almost like, because honestly, I prefer porcelain. So if the price was close enough, we could almost get them to do.
So are you in love with one lab? I mean, you got like one lab in Austin does all your work, or do you have to?
Yeah. So I work with Reliance Dental Designs out of California. It's a guy I actually met at LVI. His name's Danny Evanson, but it's a Reliance Dental, and he's in California. And he's been doing
Danny Evanson.
Evanson,
How do you
and
spell his last name?
Evanson. And so he's been doing my ceramics for like 15 years, and then I just started using Bob Clark with Williams Dental Lab as well. So between the two,
And where's Evans? Where did you say in
Yeah.
California?
Yeah, Danny Evanson is in California.
And that new guy is Bob Clark.
Yeah, and his is Williams Dental Lab, and he's in California as well.
And why do you think they're both in California? You think they were just?
I don't know. I've tried local. Trust me, I've tried local. Just have for the cosmetics that I want. I feel like I've just had really good success with these two guys for sure.
And so so you used Danny for 15 years.
Yes.
And after 15 years being married, you were looking for a girlfriend on the side and found Bob. So what was Danny not doing for you where you were looking at other labs?
So one thing that Danny's working on is like we have an iTero. So I really am trying to get to like a digital workflow, and that's something that Bob offers. So
Okay, so you wanted an oral scanner, and you chose iTero,
yeah.
which is owned by Align Technology, which also owns Invisalign. And it seems like if you're gonna do clear aligners and you want a oral scanner, you go with iTero.
Okay.
But it seems like all my implant buddies, if they're just doing surgeries, they like 3Shape.
Okay.
Did you demo three? Or why did you buy a chair? Was it price? Did you look at 3Shape?
No.
Do you just
So we used to do like a couple of years ago. We used to do a ton of Invisalign, like a ton. And so since then, I mean, and then when you do like so much Invisalign and you used to take impressions, it just made sense to do the iTero, especially to show them the before and after. If someone's doing a lot of Invisalign or wants to do more Invisalign and they have an iTero, it just makes it so much easier for sure. The predictability, the fit of the aligners, all that stuff. So naturally, we already had an iTero in house. So I mean, I already have one, and it's like fairly new, like a couple of years old. So I never really test drove like the 3Shape, but I've heard really good things about it for sure.
So you say that you've done a ton with the other ones, and a ton is 2,000 pounds, and so I'm going to take 2,000 pounds. The average American weighs 177. So you only did 11 people, dude.
No.
You said you did a ton.
I guess I'd say hundreds a year kind of thing.
Okay. So that's interesting because that's what I've noticed for 32 years that general dentists, they get interested in ortho,
Mm-hmm.
and they go through Richard Litt's the only board cert. Richard Litt and Harry Green. Richard Litt in Detroit and Harry Green out here in Phoenix are the only board certified orthodontists in America that teach general low life dentists how to do ortho. All the rest are general dentists. And I've noticed that almost all the dentists that get into it, 4 or 5 years later, they're done with it. And none of them regret it because they learn. I mean, if your only tool is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So they feel like they're cross-trained. Even Carl Misch told me that he thinks the only reason he stood out in implantology is because he was a prosthodontist doing dentures first. And then he kept noticing that the overdenture people are breaking their implants and blaming it on the titanium. He's like, blame it on titanium. Dude, you didn't even have a bite. I mean, you messed up everything with the denture, And then you blame it on the stupid implant. So that cross training, I mean, you even see it with staff. I'd rather have a receptionist cover for someone, a dental assistant that's going to be gone for a month having a baby, because then she's going to be a better receptionist. So the cross training, but you got into clear aligners. Clear aligners and implants are the only two parts of dentistry growing double digit. The rest is 1.5 to 3.5% globally. Yet you walked away from it. Why did you leave clear aligners?
For one, like what I figured out that I liked the most was the cosmetic cases. And it was really hard if I wanted to send a clear message of what I was really good at. It was hard to say I'm really good at aligners and I'm really good at veneers. And with scheduling, like it's like when you look at an ortho office's schedule, like it's way different than a general dentist office. And to be hopping out like in the middle of big procedures for an Invisalign check or something like that, I just knew like long term, I almost had to like pick. Because I wanted to get really good at one of those. And we did, like we hit big numbers with Invisalign, hundreds of cases a year, top GP in Austin for Invisalign a couple of years ago. But to do both, it was going to be difficult. I needed to hire more additional staff members to kind of man the Invisalign aspect of the practice. But it was just hard to do both.
And that's a big theme of my show, because I've said it 1,000 times. I mean, I've done 1,500 episodes. I tell them 1,900 healthcare is 1% of the GDP, no specialties. By 2000, it was 14% of the GDP. Now it's 2020, it's 17%. There were 8 specialties when I got out of school in 87. Now they've added 3 more. Yeah. And the whole world is going to specialists. Like you couldn't build the TikTok app and the LinkedIn and the Twitter and the Dental Town. I mean, the world is so complex that you got to do one thing. And I love it when you talk about that, because when you go into the dental schools, when they're babies, they're like, oh, I'm going to master endo and veneers and silver diamine. And they just, I mean, they name like 30 things. And you're like, okay, just one of those is going to take 10,000 hours, and you just name 9. Yeah. So I love your message to the kids. Stay focused. So you went with the Trios enteral scanner. No, 3Shape is the Trios. So you went with the iTero because at the time you were doing a lot of clear aligners?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's say you had to remake that decision. Are you happy with your iTero by Align Technology, or do you wish you would have gone with the 3Shape Trios?
Like I said, I haven't test drove the 3Shape, so I don't know. I'd have to, either speak with a lab and try a couple of cases just to see, like, restorative. That's my biggest question, of like being able to restore a case digitally. Like scanning for your final impressions, not just one single crown. I'm talking like multiple units, and I'm not to that level yet, but I do think that's the future for sure. I know I've heard good things about both of them. Again, I only have experience with the iTero though.
But basically, Daniel Evanson of Reliance wasn't really doing the oral scans as much, and Bob Clark was more pioneering with it. And is that how you went there?
Yeah. Well, I would say Danny is just getting into it, where Bob kind of has those protocols already established.
Okay. And did those protocols, did they come from, I mean, there's the this digital smile design. I mean, you always think it's, it all came out of Brazil. Was that the Brazil smile design course that caught you up on that? Or was it just knowing that there was a technological, smoother way to do this?
I think that was a cool eye opener, because having used DSD, and that technology is really cool, and seeing how things are getting more digital for even like lab communication and so forth. That definitely opened my eyes a little bit of like, but the potential of 3D printing, like digitally designing on a 2D picture, but also digitally designing on your app in 3D. Through the DSC app, that's really, really cool. So that definitely started to open up my thought and my conversation of, Like, how can we move digitally? And I'm going to say, like, with Danny Evanson, he still does my cases. He still does, like, I know we said like 15 years, but I mean, that's an ongoing thing. It's just that certain cases where I feel like we need to go digital, um, we work with the other lab too. So both labs are still vital to our success for sure.
It's amazing because when I got out of school, I mean, it was you couldn't ship stuff all over the country. You know what I mean? And then when you start shipping, and you still have a hard time because UPS, they don't have enough competition. I don't know why they don't do that, but when dental companies send you something in Phoenix, like it was 116 today. So if you buying some Impergum or polyvinyl siloxane or whatever, and it's sitting in the back of a UPS truck all day, I mean, if it's 116 outside, you can get a thermometer. You shut your door, you go into the grocery store, you come back out, the inside of your car is over 140.
Oh wow!
So that really, so back in the day, a lot of dentists all thought that shipping stuff in boxes and UPS for labs far away, it was too heat sensitive in Phoenix, Arizona. So digital, do they charge you less money with the oral scanner? That's what a lot of labs are doing because they'll use less labor.
Yeah, I think a lot of labs, we do use some local labs for like single units and stuff like that. And generally, like the rates are a little bit better because sometimes it's modelless, or we don't even have like a model. But yeah, generally there's like a little bit of a better fee I feel like with digital scans for sure.
That is amazing. So what are you most motivated now? I mean, what's got you excited right now? And what advice would you give the kids? Because you said earlier to me, I think it was on email, that one advice you would give to the kids is start building their social media presence. And my gosh, I think the older people need it more than the kids do. The kids are probably naturally going there, but it's like Yelp. I mean, every time I hear Yelp, I just remind myself, okay, I've never seen a human being use Yelp in my entire life. It's like talking about unicorns and mermaids. I mean, I got two granddaughters. I know they exist, and I know they're also all purple, violet, or pink. Yeah. So it's in that red shift area. There's no, so Yelp. I mean, you can Yelp all you want, but I also know on Dental Town, every thread about Yelp is about how much they hate the company. But would you advise kids in dental school? What would you tell the kids in dental school to be thinking about on their social media to build demand for the one thing they're going to pick to get a supply of? They're not going to be, a doctor of everything. They're not going to be a jack of all trades. They're going to pick one thing, and they're going to create a great supply of it. And then you're going to tell them how to create demand on social media by doing what?
I actually would say, and this is what several dental students I've seen do already on TikTok or Instagram. And also, like, they've already built like large followings and they're still in dental school. So I would actually say, even though they want to get into a niche like later, like after dental school, I think dental school is a great time to build their social media brand. And the content that I would have them focus on is just the general dental health stuff. I mean, again, it's very general, it's very broad. But if that gets them a lot of like a good following, or it helps them get their name out there, and then eventually they can kind of like, it's hard for, I would say it would be hard for like a third year dental student to really, I mean, they can talk about veneers. They should talk about everything, but it'd be hard for them to show like a before and after case to show off their work.
And do you think that's a big part of it, by showing your own work?
I mean, I think it's a part of it for sure. I mean, you can definitely talk about other cases or things in general, but I think like
on your website, do you only show your work, or do you or will you show great veneer cases wherever they come from?
Oh, only our work, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal, and I lived through a couple of experiences. One, I got chewed out by a woman who wanted to get breast implants. She had some kids. She wanted breast implants. And she wanted it to be the right person, and she wanted me to get involved with it. And I said, I mean, that's not my wheelhouse. So I called, some of my oral surgeon parents, and she got mad. And she said she went to one in Tempe, and he just didn't convey the trust. He went to another one. So I said, okay, Friday, I'll go to some consultation with you. I said, book me 2, and I'll go with you.
Yeah.
And we went to this dentist in Tempe, and he had this brochure from the American Academy of Aesthetic Breast Boob Job, whatever. I mean, so what? You got a brochure, and you're going to do a boob job on? No. So then we went to the other one, and the place looked like it was like 30 years old. And then I said, okay, there's got to be a smarter way. So I was talking to her, and she was a smart kid. And so my eureka moment was the biggest nudie bar is Bourbon Street in Phoenix. That's where all the bachelor parties are. So I called Bourbon Street, and I said, can I talk to the owner? And they immediately thought it was the police and investigate, So I said, no, I'm a dentist. So the guy gets on the phone, and I said, here's the dilemma. He said, well, I'll tell you what. He goes, if you have anyone do it on a Friday, Saturday night, you're not even going to make $300 a night. But eventually you'll save enough money to go have Lauren Shaw redo them, and then you'll make $1,000 a night. I said, I want to go meet this Lauren Shaw. I want to go to the concert. Oh, my God, it was a total deal. We go in the room, and he sits down. This was in the slide projector days. And I guess there's like 4 different types. He determined this girl was a type whatever, one A, B, C, D. And then he shows 2 slide projectors back in the carousel days. I don't know if you ever saw a carousel in your life. And it was all his own work. And then everyone else was doing it for $4,000. His was an $8,000 to make the appointment, but your appointment's not verified, or it's not guaranteed until your check clears. So you can say you're going to do it on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, but it's $8,000, and he only does 1 patient in the morning, 1 at night. And if you need to change your appointment or reschedule, you'll need another $8,000. And this was like 10, 15 years ago, and he was a legend. So he did one thing, and he showed his own work. And then on this own podcast, I've had so many of the guys that do like implants, a big implant case, all like that, and they're like, Howard, I was talking to dentist, and I've already got like 4 major implant cases, because you're sitting there in a small town. You don't think your small town dentist in Beeville, Texas can do this case. So you think, oh, it's got to be someone better in Beverly Hills or New York. So they start doing Google searches, and then they see your own work, and then they only have to jump on a Southwest Airlines flight. Yeah. So showing your own work. In fact, when people say, do you think I should get a CAD cam or a CBCT or a laser? I say, I think you should get a digital camera, start photo documenting your work and putting it on your website, and that'll make so much money that boys have toys, and you can buy all 3 of those and a little red car and a girlfriend. So what are you doing for your photography? Is it you just use your iPhone, Canon?
A lot of the stuff we do on social media will be off an iPhone. A lot of video, some photography off the iPhone, but I have like let's see what it is. It's like a Nikon from Photomed. Photomed I think is really great for dentists, and it's just a Nikon, and it has a couple of like flashes on the side of it. But that's what we use for our before and afters. But I mean, the phones are getting so, like, if it was a dental student or something like that, I would say just, man, use your phone, because like the phones are getting so good, like the cameras on them, that I'm hoping to eventually just start using my phone for everything, honestly.
And why was Photomed good for healthcare? I mean, is this their core competency?
Yeah. Photomed, I think, is almost specific for dentists. So it's like a photo company that you can order products from them, talk to like their specialist or whatever. And I mean, the camera basically comes set up for dental. Like, I have 2 different like stops on this camera. Like, one is for headshots and one is for close up. And it makes it super easy. I'm not like hitting a whole bunch of buttons. It's like, takes like the complications out of it. But I've used them for multiple cameras over the years, and I've always had like really good success with them, for sure.
And it's an old company, because they're not even a .com. It's photomed.net. It's like, dude, use your email, AOL.com, and are you on Viagra or Cialis? I mean, if anything, you should, next time you say, at least for the millennials, you need to get a .com. So you like Photomed.
Mm-hmm.
are they training you how to do it on PhotoMed, or do they online CE courses? Where would these kids learn how to?
That's a good question. I mean, I know there's a lot of dentists who offer like photography courses. So I think if they just like looked it up, I'm sure they could find like a dental photography course. There's some like bigger names out there. I've just kind of like done it, just practice and I, speaking to them on the phone, that's usually helped a lot. But I think I'm sure they have some sort of online training. But then also, again, there's some big names out there who teach dental photography.
Okay, well, if he's got a .net, you better buy your camera quick because he might not be around much longer. So the camera, though, I mean, it's just everything because, again, we were talking about it's the same theme. They've lost trust.
Yeah.
And if I look at everything that's changed in my 60 years on Earth, I think the environment has actually gotten way better.
Okay.
And the trust has gotten way worse. I mean, I would say the trust is the main thing. Like when I grew up, I mean, you were, American and, just apple pie and baseball. It's just these few themes that everybody was behind. And now you just don't see that anymore. I mean, you take any theme you can think of, at least a quarter of Americans would be ready to destroy it.
But I think one other thing, just to go back to like what I'd recommend for like dental students, like I mentioned before, like when a patient comes in, it used to be, and this is just maybe even just a few years ago, it would have been like, yeah, I read all your Google reviews or I found you on Google. But like I said, nowadays it's like I saw your Instagram, then I checked you out on Google, then I read your reviews, then I went to your website, then I saw you on TikTok, then I saw, so like
But who's doing that? Is that is it just moms and not dads, or is it young and not old, or is it just a complete cross section of everybody in Austin?
I feel like it's a complete cross section. Maybe it's just Austin. But I feel like it's a pretty good cross section where like it's not just one referral source anymore. It's like even word of mouth. It's like, yeah, my friend told me about you, then I checked out your Instagram, then I checked out your website, then I checked, like there's these multiple layers to it. And but I mean, I would say like for the younger dental students, like try to get on. Maybe they're specializing in like one or two platforms, but just having maybe some sort of presence along some of these platforms, like LinkedIn, like Facebook, Instagram, maybe TikTok. If TikTok's still around, who knows?
Yeah, well, so I got to tell you another story about that. When I was studying my first business class at Creighton University in 1980, the average S&P 500 company was over 60 years old. They were senior citizens.
Oh, wow.
Now that is under 20.
Yeah.
So and now everybody thinks that you go out one more generation, nobody's going to make it in the S&P 500 10 years. So you're already seeing where Google search was kind of fading away, so they got out their checkbook and they bought YouTube. That wasn't their idea. That was a pay to play. And then same thing with Facebook. It started fizzling, so he got out his paycheck. He bought Instagram. So that's what the monopolies want to do. They just want to keep buying their succession. But what free enterprise is doing is you can't be so hot that you're going to dominate for 60 years. Ask Kodak, ask Xerox. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So as we get faster and faster at the speed of light, these companies are not going to live that long. So, and then as far as specialty, we were talking about specialties in dentistry. Like, you can't do everything. Is that kind of apply to social media too? Like, would you advise someone, if you're going to do Instagram, just only do Instagram? If you're going to do Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, would you recommend one social media play and master it, or try to be a jack of 5 platforms?
I would say, I would say try to find one that fits you and try to master it. So if it's like some sort of written form, you prefer that, then maybe it's a blog. If you're really good on video, maybe it's like YouTube, or maybe you want to get more into video, then maybe it's YouTube or TikTok, or if you're really into photography, then maybe like something like Instagram. So I feel like focusing on one, you could definitely make a huge impact for sure.
So you're out there in Austin. And that's the where Dell is headquartered.
Yeah.
And did you know his father was an orthodontist?
I didn't know that.
And his brother was an ophthalmologist. And I remember meeting his dad way back in the day at the Texas State meeting.
Yeah.
And what's the city where they have that creek going through
San Antonio.
San Antonio, the Alamo. And he was telling us, we were laughing, sorry, he's crying, that his son Michael came back from college after like 2 weeks. And he had all the stuff. And he's like, what are you doing? He goes, Dad, I met all my teachers. They're idiots. And he goes, can I start my own business in the garage? He said that night he cried when him and his wife both cried because he never knew what they were going to do with his crazy-ass son, Michael, who thought all of his teachers were crazy. And now, of course, he's a billionaire. But his dad is another level. And he's in your backyard. And I would go look up his dad because he's a really nice guy. You're a dentist, so you're his friend. And he just has such macro... Because ortho, I mean, that's just cosmetic. I mean, in fact, all of ortho is cosmetic. I mean,
for sure.
Edentulous people have the same overweightness as people with full occlusion.
Yeah.
So I mean, they can eat anything. Yeah, go look him up. That would be
Okay. Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the social media. I want you to prioritize social media because I think that what you're really saying is that TikTok brings in cases, but those reviews are just as important. Like if you did everything you were doing on TikTok and they went to your website and you didn't have 500 5-star reviews, you had 5 reviews and one of them was a 1-star. So reviews is pretty serious. Do you do what technology do you use to help with your reviews?
I just ask.
Yeah.
I just, like after we finish a cosmetic case, I just ask, and then I just say like, is it okay if I email you a link? And then it just kind of works from there. I mean, we have like, we use Revenue Well and things like that. But I really wanted to focus on reviews that like really emphasize like veneers and smile makeovers. Because again, this is all part of this like message of like, I want to be known for that, right?
But you were telling me why you wanted to do that. Then I interrupted you. Where does this want to be a cosmetic beauty makeover come from?
It's just what I enjoy. It's just what I've enjoyed all these years.
And who is that patient that wants a smile makeover? Is there any demographic connection to this patient? Male, female, old, young, before marriage, trying to get married, or divorced and on the market again? It's a fix up.
It's everything you just said. Like, I mean, it's sometimes like, mostly I would say 70% of our smile makeovers are women.
70%?
I'd say, yeah, a big percentage.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, 70%, that's almost the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
I mean, so 70% women. So are these women trying to get married the first time, or are they back out on the market again trying to get the car painted and take it through the car wash?
Health and beauty right now is really, really hot. I mean, like you can see like all the like aesthetic work that people are getting done, be it Botox, fillers, all those things. Obviously plastic surgery as well. And I feel like, I mean, cosmetic dentistry, there's like a huge market for it. There's a huge niche for it. And when people are looking, they're going to want to look for, like you had mentioned, someone who's like a specialist. With so many generalities in like when what we have, like people want to go to people who kind of quote unquote specialize in those types of procedures.
Well, Texas was the state for implantology. I mean, you lived through that where the board said, well, you can't call yourself an implant specialist because the ADA only recommends 9. The judge said, the ADA is a membership club, dude. They're not the government. The guy only does implants. He is a fellowship of the International. And so they overthrew that case. And then the next day on the ADA website, it's like, specialty is only between you, me, and the club. Yeah. It's not a legal thing. It's not on the market thing. In fact, the trend now is to destroy those boards. So when I look at all the threads going on at different state board of dentistries, it's amazing how in 1980, those were the boards to look out and protect the consumer. Now, those same a third of a billion head of cattle herd Americans are looking at those boards saying, no, you're just trying to keep out competition. You're just trying to do licensing because all your members make a lot of money. It's the same with unions. When people always talk about the union story, you think of some poor guy working hard and getting benefits. Everybody's on a union's got the best job. I mean, they already work at Ford, Chrysler. In fact, the highest paid union workers, pilots. There's no union. If you're poor and you work with your hands and you get really, really dirty, there's no unions for you. Unions are for rich, and the state board is why healthcare is 17%. Because I'll give you an example. We're both living on the border with Mexico. When Guadalupe is so poor, that's across the street from my office. It's an Indian reservation with 5,000 Guadalupe Indians and about 20,000 illegal Mexicans, right? It's so poor, there's not one dentist in there. Well, about every other year, some dentist from Mexico who's hustling will come all the way up here and he'll start doing dentistry. Oh my God, as soon as the board finds out, they send out their thug. He's kidnapped, arrested, arraigned, sent back. And it's like, dude, he was treating the poor, and none of your state licensed dentists are doing it. Because see, if they got rid of all the state boards, well, the state board should just say whether or not you're qualified, legal. You know, they could say, like the FDA. The FDA doesn't say this drug is not approved. They say this drug is not approved and you're not allowed to take it. Well, that's two very different things. The state board should say, oh, yeah, Tejas went to a real dental school in America. He's certified. There's no complaints. He's never been sued. And he's in good standing with the board. That's like a big government review. But that's not what the government's about. They're like, oh, but you give us money, give us a lot of money. And if you do anything wrong, we're going to kidnap you and put you in a cage. And about 6% of you will never come out alive. So don't you love the tangents I get on, how I can just... but yeah, I mean, if people are really concerned about poor people getting dentistry, well, then you would just get rid of all the state boards and it wouldn't be an issue. I mean, you know how many dentists would come here just from India alone? They have 1,300,000,000 people. Phoenix, 10% of all the dentists have a last name Patel. There would be dentists treating the poor in every small rural town in America if there was no state boards. So the state board is the same thing with opioid addiction. No one's dying from Vicodin. They can't get Vicodin because it's illegal, so they buy it underground, and it's laced with fentanyl. Prince, all those famous people had 4 or 5 other drugs in there because they're eating crap. So the government is saying, well, auto accidents killed the most, but now it's opioids. Opioids kill more than auto accidents. Yeah, because you made it that way. You created it that way, so they create all the problems, and then when the problem gets so bad, then they convince you that they're the only ones that can solve the problem that they created. God, my God, I'm so glad I'm a dentist and not a political scientist. So I'm just thinking about, I can't believe we went over an hour. So you tell the kids, get exposed to all aspects of dentistry: surgery, sedation, cosmetic dentistry, Invisalign implants, quadrant and full arch. I like how you said quadrant and full arch, because when you get out of dental school, for the first 4 years, you're going to be a one-tooth dentist. And then at about year 5, year 5, you have the first thought, well, my God, if I'm going to numb up the whole quadrant, I'm just going to do them all. And then they practice another 5 years thinking, well, you can't do both sides at the same time. It's just left side or right side. It's like, dude, you're in the same building with an oral surgeon. He numbs up all 4 quads 8 times a day his whole life. And you ask any busy person, would you rather have all your mouth numbed up and do it all in 1 hour, or do you want to make 4 visits? So surgery, sedation, cosmetic dentistry. And then what I want to say is, when I'm looking at the practice data that's doing the best, when I see the office collects $1 million, the overhead's in the 50s somewhere, maybe 55, 59, whatever, and doc's taking home, $250. It's always a bread and butter office. They're doing about 7 root canals a month. They're doing extractions and oral surgery because they're public health. You come in there in pain, they can fix that. That's what hospitals don't turn you away. They got a helicopter sitting up there. The helicopters are bringing the patients to the hospital. Once a helicopter brings you to a building, there's nowhere else you can go. And basic crown and bridge, fillings, and treat kids, because all animals will do more for their offspring than they'll do for their grandpa. And any other advice for the kids, the COVID class of 2000?
I think you covered it.
Anything I missed on that?
No, I mean, I mean, what you said just, and what I had said in that response of just trying to like learn a little bit of everything. I mean, I think that's how you figure out which one you like the most. But I definitely think when you're in dental school, getting exposed to as much of it as you can, for sure, 100%.
So when you find Michael Dell's dad, will you tell him that me and him had lunch at the TDA like the 80s and I want him to come on the show? Because
Okay, sure.
because when your son's Michael Dell and you're an orthodontist,
Yeah.
I mean, he's had access to a lot of macroeconomics.
Oh,
And I bet you he'd be the best mentor for me. You're in Austin.
yeah.
I mean, if I was in Austin, you're going to go to dinner anyway. So when you go to dinner anyway, you might as well bring a homie and learn something at dinner, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be talking about, with your two daughters, you're going to be talking about mermaids and unicorns, and they're going to be purple, violet, and pink. Might as well have Michael Dell's dad there. That was he's a really smart guy. But, all right, my man, you, thanks for coming on the show. I saw, I wanted to get you on there, and I said, I hope he does it. His name is, think of the word contagious, then drop the con. So he's Tejas Patel. And I don't know what I have more of in dental. I think Patel is the most names. We have 250,000 people. I think Patel is the most common name because there's 2 million dentists on Earth. There's only 150,000 in the United States. So, I mean, India obviously has 3 times as many dentists as the United States. Photomed, my gosh. And your homework assignment is, and I'm going to do it. I listen to you. I'm gonna get one of my kids and teach Dad TikTok.
There you go. There you go. Cool.
So I've got you trapped on video. You got to make a prediction. This is August 19th. Election's 80 days away. Do you think TikTok will avoid, like the post office, just avoid everything to see what's going to go down in November, or do you think it'll be sold before the election?
I don't think it'll be sold before the election.
Yeah, I don't think so. And if they did buy it, do you think it would be Microsoft or Oracle? I already know the answer, so I can tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Larry Ellison.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Dude, every time he flies into San Fran, he flies his jet under the bridge.
Oh,
and they
wow.
get so upset and they fine him. You can't fight. And he's like the 3rd richest guy in the world. And there's nothing that makes his day more fun than flying under the Golden Gate Bridge in his private jet. That's an aggressive boy. And I bet you he'll beat out Microsoft. But, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. And go tell your daughters that Uncle Howie said they're your new social media employees. They got to start doing your social media. All right, buddy. Have a great day.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate it.